Hey guys, Tarke here, and I'm going to just quickly give you a little update on the Tarke Walkie boys. We tried out Death's Oath, felt a bit meh. We dropped the Abraths, felt a bit meh. We are now Walkie, Explodey, Righteous Fiery. Low level, 81, on a 4-link. Haven't done my Uberlap, so we are missing 20% more damage. But the build is feeling pretty smooth. It is hidden potential. We have all the... we are proccing Ellie Overload and Ellie Equilibrium through a bunch of casting damage taken at level 1 setups. For anyone who can't read the writing on the left, we are currently leeching through Dual Obliteration. I know this isn't a completely original idea. A guy did do this on the forums, which is why I showed his video in the last video I did on this character. But it's really fun, and with a few things that we can upgrade to the build, a few little tweaks, I feel like we can take the original idea and just make it go a little bit smoother. Now, I'm not using any other setups, like no weapon swaps or anything, but I will eventually go for a weapon swap, probably Sapphal's Frame plus Balefire. Balefire is the level 25 Scorching Ray Scepter. So using that with a Maxro Shield just means that if I want to boss, or for whatever reason I want to stand still and do much single target, I can just stand there and turret. I'm currently running triple purities in my right weapon, so I need to swap that into my helmet so I can then weapon swap around freely and just shuffle around a few cast number takens. That's probably what I'm going to do. Now again, this isn't a character design around bossing, this is just a map-centered character. The goal of this character is to roleplay Cute Cat and just run up and down channel, up and down channel, up and down channel. Don't press any buttons. Now, in the last video, there were quite a few comments saying, why don't you use this? Why don't you use that? To answer your questions, a lot of your suggestions involve pressing buttons. We currently press Phase Run, and we sometimes drop Orb of Storms, just to proc Ellie Overload and EE a little bit smoother. Again, we can out-regen Righteous Fire while moving, perfectly fine, because I have a bunch of jewels giving me a bunch of regen while moving, and standing still, hands off keys. We can also regen while stood still when we have Slayer Leech rolling through, because again, overkill damage from the explosions, we leech. But, you know, if we stand completely still at the start of a map with my current gear, I will eventually degen. I can run half regen and all that shenanigans once I've started leeching, but for now, it's just fine for what I currently want to do with it. The only map mods you definitely shouldn't do is completely no regen, which in my current setup, I haven't got another spell. The guy who did this build on the forums, he had a self-cast Dart Pact setup, which kind of makes sense because Dart Pact scales for all the same things that Righteous Fire does, just loads of life, and because we're a hidden potential build, we do have a bunch of generic damage scaling. And again, hidden potential gives us 25% increase in magic damage per item, and I currently have 5 items, so that's 125% just generic damage. Haven't got freeze removal, but it's fine because, you know, Righteous Fire Obliteration, by the way. I do want to roll freeze removal onto my health pot, but I'm currently a bit low on alterations because I'm trying to roll a OP Marble Ami. I'll show you my gear and everything after we finish this map. But yeah, so for a character which is designed to run super tight, super linear maps, it feels really good running super tight, super linear maps. Yeah, pretty chill. And here we're going, Scorching Race, you know, but I haven't got the weapon swap yet, so it's whatever. But it does fine because we've got Righteous Fire damage at the moment. There's no decay setup, no Death's Oath setup yet. I've run with all 3, I've run with just 1, I've run with combinations of all of them. To be honest, the decay setup with the Abraths boots, it feels good and it's nice supplementary damage, but then if you run the Abraths Hooves decay setup, you can't run EE for bosses because Abraths Hooves does fire damage. So by dropping that, I gain EE, which makes up for the lost decay damage, so it's kind of like a wash. You could have a Blade Vortex, which you pressed, but then you have to press buttons. The only thing really missing is I need to shuffle some gems around and put in a Val Haste or probably a Val Grace. But let's just quickly go through my gear. So again, Dual Obliterations. This is how I get the explodes. With 2 of these, you get 40% chance for enemies to explode for a quarter, so 25%. I was using one of these for a bit. You can get exploding maces. You can use this and use shield charge, and then you can use light poacher and all this fancy stuff. It feels like this has a way smaller AoE than the obliterations. Even though it's a guaranteed explode, it just didn't feel very good. But if you do want to use one of these maces, then I'd recommend getting one with like fast tracks inbuilt. Then you can run a 4-link. You'll notice that we have everything like blood magic spell-wise. That's because I am a mind over matter build, and I currently have more mana degen than regen, meaning that I'm always degenning mana, meaning I have 100% uptime on my divination distillate, which means that I go from 80 macros because I run triple purity to, if I just put on my righteous fire, I'll degen because I'm stood still, to 84, 90, and as you can see, if I'm moving, I won't ever degen, even with no flasks up. Moving with righteous fire, I'm fine. It's just stood still with righteous fire with no overleech, no flasks. I do degen a little bit. I could run a stone golem, I'm not. If I ran a stone golem, I'd be fine. If I had a little bit more regen, I'd be fine, but currently it's whatever with my current gear levels. And if you're in hideout, it will turn itself off at 1 health, so, you know. As long as you're not just randomly stopping and doing absolutely nothing while mapping, you're right. I mean, if you do stop randomly while mapping, you're right if you've killed something recently because of the way that Slayer Leech works. So, Endless Hunger, that's the 20% of overkill damage I was talking about, triggered by the obliterations. And we run a Cast Nova Shaken level 1 Ice Nova crit strikes to help proc Ellie Overload and EE. And I also have a Cast Damage Taken Shock Nova Arc crit strikes. A Power Charge on crit setup, a Ice Spear setup would make sense, but I'm currently running a bunch of things which I have MTX for, because I have all this stupid MTX, I may as well use it. So that's why I've gone for that. You could come up with better setups, I'm sure. Otherwise, we're just running a 4-link currently. Righteous Fire, Burning Damage, Conk Effect, Ellie Focus, Orb of Storms, Phase Run, Blood Magic, Increased Duration. That's just to give me a little movement speed boost and phasing while I'm running around mapping. I should replace my Quicksilver with a Alchemist of Adrenaline to get even more movement speed. I just haven't got around to it yet. We're applying Despair through a Witchfire Brew. The AoE lines up quite neatly with my Righteous Fire AoE, so that's perfect. And again, we are planning around just running Channel, so it's perfect. Darkness Enthroned with 2 life regen jewels. My jewels, I think the lowest life regen I have on a jewel is 0.8. If I had 1% in all of my slots, again, regen wouldn't be an issue. So I'm currently missing 0.9 there, 0.8 there, 0.8 there, 1% there, and yeah, 0.8 there. I should actually probably swap. Am I fine resist-wise? If I take that out and put that there, we're 1 under for lightning res. It's probably fine. That gives me slightly more regen, slightly more damage. For the perfect duel would be life, damage over time while dual wielding, damage if you've killed recently, damage against Abyssal, and then just phasing, onslaught, all of that stuff. But we already get onslaught. We are a little bit dex starved. If you can get dex on duels, feels good, man. I currently have 2 nodes into dex. We have a 30 dex node here and a 20 dex node here. The 20 dex node here also gives us 3% movement speed, so it's not that bad. The reason why I route all the way down here is to get this Aura Effect, Champion of the Cause, and Aura Effect from Sovereignty. That's just enough reservation for me to run triple purities. Also, when I was playing around with running Death's Oath, Death's Oath is an aura and is scaled by Aura Effect. If you're definitely never using that, you're probably better off dropping these nodes and just running an Enlighten. But having both of these clusters gives 1 max all res, which is pretty powerful. And I want I know it's like hematology, so that'd be like hematography. Hememes, it gives increased life leech per second, increased maximum life leech per second, and it gives us some generic increased damage while leeching. Since we are a combination of fire and chaos damage from the obliterations, pretty good. Also, one thing to note about Despair. Despair is a more damage over time. And also lowers enemies' chaos resistance. So it's like perfect synergy for what we're currently doing. And all of my gear is just like blue with the resist I need. Movement speed here. Life all res. Life all res. Life resist. Life and then crafted res. Pretty easy. Currently using a Blood Bond as a budget chest. It's like a mini belly with 1% regen. An actual belly of the beast would be better. A combs would be better. A cherubim's would be better. You could also again mess around with using Dart Pact as a self-cast setup to boost single target damage if you don't want to do the weapon swap Balefire Scorching Ray. But as you can see, because I have my purities in my wand, I just haven't fixed that yet. I'll put these in my helm. Move this high-level castle damage taken there, and then it's all good to go. And I have got a high-level castle damage taken, Flame Golem, Immortal Cool, and then a floating portal gem, because I can't be bothered to buy portal scrolls. So yeah, that is the build. So far, so good. Feels pretty smooth. I'll run one more quick map, because I like running channel. Channels feels good, man. And I'm currently just picking up life nodes. I'm just picking up life nodes till about 6k life, then I'll go back to picking up damage nodes and other nodes. I'm currently missing the 3 burn damage nodes at the top left of the tree, and the alchemist cluster will give me more quant from my divination distillates, more max res from all my resist flasks, and more movement speed. So it's a pretty important 3-pointer that I should get, but I'm just trying to get some life right now because Righteous Fire scales from life. Life makes me tankier. Hardcore, by the way, haha. So it's just a pretty good thing all round to go for. But yeah, fuck pressing buttons. Build feels smooth. Oh, another thing to note, there is the Ascetic Amulet, which I'll show you after this map, which is like a baby Bisco's. It gives you 15% quant if you have a magic item equipped. Obviously, this is a hidden potential build, so we always have magic items equipped. Really nice, super budget Bisco's. People who just want, you know, quantity. Cost me all of 2 chaos. So that was a pretty good pickup and something I'd recommend for any hidden potential boyos out there. I'm currently not using it because of dex requirements and resists, although I'll try and fix my gear to use one to then eventually turn it into a Bisco's. A Bisco's is still better. I've also ruined my sewer clear, but it's just, if you can get 15% quant for 2 chaos, you may as well get 15% quant for 2 chaos. So you have the quant from that slot. You have the quant from the flask, which gives a base of 18, but will give even more once we've gotten the increased flask effectiveness. And then, if you wanted to drop hidden potentials, you could then run Ventors on top of that. And then you could run, like, you know, quantity boots, because, for example, these boots just give you that. So really nothing that fancy. But as you can see, the build is pretty smooth. Feels nice. Not having to press buttons generally makes builds feel as for how I leveled this build, I bought a pair of Aberratuves, and I wore those from level 12. I was just doing a straight added damage any focus setup for most of the leveling, and then I eventually transitioned it into a decay setup and ran Death's Oath Decay with Aberratuves, and then I went Righteous Fire around about level 60-ish. So yeah. If you're not running the hidden potential, you're missing out on 50, 100, 150% damage, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slots. 6 times 25. Yeah. Did I get that right? 50, 100, yeah. You're missing out on 150% increased generic damage if you don't use the hidden potential. You could also drop the Blood Bond and just roll I believe, an Elder Chest, which can give life regen, I think up to 2%. Blood Bond definitely isn't a Abyss chest, it's just something I'm using for now. I'd be much better off just buying a cheap 5 or 6 link item, so I can then get a 6 link Righteous Fire for like 10c, and then just alt rolling it, which is probably what I'll do after this video. But yes, I'm Tarke, this is my current build. Have a good day. Bye-bye.